Every one of us has heard the phrase to use food as medicine, but most people think that means to eat cleaner, cutting out sugar, or buying more supplements. But historically and spiritually, food was never meant as just fuel. It was instruction for our bodies. So, in this episode, we're going to be talking about Genesis and that doesn't begin with pills or protocols. He begins with plants, seeds, fruits, and balance. And how do we find that balance? So he said, I have given you every herb-bearing seed and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. So in ancient cultures, Hebrew, Ayurveda, Greek cultures, food was considered information. It spoke to the body, it corrected imbalances, it completed what was missing. Healing wasn't about restriction, it was about restoration. And somewhere along the way, we lost this language. Today, we're going to dive into the science behind how God designed food and how we can actually use it for healing in very specific ways. So grab your herbal tea and let's dig in. This is super exciting. Many years ago, I moved to China with my family. We taught English there, and it was a really hard time for me. Emotionally, I think because I was alone, right? Right. There was not a lot of English speakers. It was harder for me, but physically, I actually started to thrive. And I've thought about that a lot over the years. And I know that it's because one, we're walking all the time, before meals, after meals, and that's why we started to really incorporate that. But another one is when we ate, we had a plethora of vegetables and all the tastes. So this is where I started to dig deeper and found some answers that I want to share with you. So why does food as medicine feel so confusing today? Because we really don't know what that means. Again, people think using food as medicine is all about, I don't know, have a salad. So here's what the problem is that people think that it's about superfoods, it's about supplements, it's about the perfect diet and eliminating everything that they love. It tends to border on punishment. But this is not medicine, and this is a form of control. And we sometimes feel like if we can control it a little bit more, if we have more discipline, if we have, more rules, we'll be successful. And that's not actually really what happens. And that's why when I work with clients, one of the things they usually say is, oh, finally, I can eat food again and know why it's good for me. And foods that may be good for someone else may not be what I need right now. So, true food as medicine, as they use them as systems, are built around balance and not perfection. And one of the oldest, simplest frameworks that I have found that has been used to restore balance is something most people have never heard of. They've never heard of using the six tastes as medicine. So let me explain what this is. So the six tastes are the body's original instruction manual. So for thousands of years, traditional systems observed that every meal should speak to the whole body, not just calories or micros. And we actually understand this when we go to a really good restaurant. It's going to have all six tastes. So it's very satisfying and you feel good. There's just something about it that you're like, wow, I really enjoyed that meal. So when we understand that it's not just macros, it's not just, protein, carbs, and fat, that we're actually looking at cellular instruction. So I want you to think of these six tastes like nutrients for your nervous system, digestion, hormones, and cells. So here they are. There are sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, and astringent. So sweet gives us and our nervous system hormones. So I'm going to be talking, all of these fall under this. So sweet grounds and strengthens and nourishes. Sour is purifying and cleansing. Salty is balancing and regulating. Bitter is detoxifying and mineralizing. Astringent is anti-inflammatory and cooling. Pungent is energizing and warming. So this isn't just about flavor preferences. Oh, I like sweet things. I like sour. I like salty, whatever. It's about a complete picture. And so this is why a pinch is just enough. So here's what modern science is finally catching up to. These taste receptors, which are just, there's even sections on our tongue that receive that taste. And so it's really cool. So the taste receptors, they don't just live on our tongue though. They exist in our digestive system, in the pancreas, in the lungs, in the brain. And so when any taste is present, even in a tiny amount, it triggers enzyme release, digestive signaling, hormonal responses, nervous system feedback, like and so it's yes, just a pinch of salt here matters, a squeeze of lemon there, a slice of a pepper here, and a handful of greens. All of these is enough to complete an energetic equation. So you don't need more food, you just need more information. And so this is especially critical for digestion. And so when I have clients come in, I was talking to um, a male client of mine recently, and he was saying, with food and all that information that like how do I make something just specifically for me and then for my family? And I said, why would we do that? So one of the things is we simplify. So we could do something like a taco bar, right? And so we have all this flavors there, and then we can use them. And I even say, teach your children this. And I'm trying to teach my children this to go to use their plate as medicine. So it doesn't have to be um, confusing once you learn about it. So if you don't have a gallbladder, this matters even more because we know that without a gallbladder, bile is no longer released in a strong, timed way. Fat digestion becomes inconsistent. Blood sugar can swing. Inflammation rises, and it's very quiet and subtle. So here's what the six tastes do for you in this situation. So bitter and pungent stimulate that bile flow. So that may be something like ginger or garlic or onion for the pungent. For bitter, I love arugula, greens, those type of things. Sour supports liver cleansing. So sour is that squeeze of lemon, something like that. Salt improves mineral signaling. So just that little bit of salt will help. Sweet calms and nourishes the tissues. So that can look like sweet potato. It could look like whole grain rice. Astringent reduces inflammation. Astringent is like our beans and legumes that we've talked about on the podcast. So this isn't about eating more fat or fewer carbs or a restriction. It's about giving your body signals it used to get automatically. So when we do a whole meal. Um, so even if you don't have a gallbladder, this does apply to you because it always helps hormonal balance, perimenopause, chronic bloating, fatigue, weight that just won't shift. So we can use this without crazy dramatics of elimination in our diets, right? So many people are like, oh, I'm going to take out, I don't feel good, so I'm going to take out all grain. I'm going to take out all sweets. I'm going to take out all of these things. But if we put it in the right way and in the right amounts, suddenly we start to feel a ton better. So what this looks like practically without that overwhelm is, and this is where people can start to relax. Take a deep breath as we learn this. You're not making complex meals. You're just finishing them off. So examples could be that you have a soup, right? And maybe in this soup you have some beans, you have some veggies. So adding a squeeze of lemon, some added herbs can really round out that soup. If you have a salad and you have this bed of bitter greens, to add some sweet, you might want to add some um, beets. You can add some raisins even, and not a lot. It doesn't take a lot. You can add some salt to it. You can add a garlicky, spicy dressing, and that would round this out. To a smoothie, I love to, inside my program, I have recipes for smoothies that have beans in them and berries, which are both astringent. Berries are on the sweeter side, not too sweet, but they signal that. I also have ones for with warming spices, cinnamon and ginger to kind of get that again, that amazing fullness of cellular information. So as long as the taste is present, the body receives the message. So when I'm working with people who are really struggling, we actually want to lean a little heavier into this. And what's awesome is you don't just start getting rid of foods. What we do is we lean in heavy to what you do need, and suddenly the body starts to find this amazing balance. And so this is how people ate before nutrition labels existed, right? So um, I always say that there is no such thing as a good food or a bad food so long as it is real food, unadulterated, and not poisoned. That's it. Those are the rules. So if you can recognize it because it's been grown and it's been grown without pesticides and toxins, then that's where we get to start with really feeling good. And now we just work with ratios. So when meals are complete, this is what starts to happen. We reduce our cravings. And we'll talk about cravings in just a minute because that seems to be a huge one. It improves digestion, it calms inflammation. And so the body stops feeling deprived. And so this is why dieting fails is even like I had one client come to me and she was just eating rice and broccoli and chicken. And she constantly felt well, she didn't have energy. Her body wouldn't lose the weight. She had anxiety like crazy, all of this stuff. And so when we actually started eating real food with all the six flavors, suddenly she was losing weight, inflammation was going down, she was feeling better, and she got to eat with her family, which was huge for connection for her. And so we want to have traditional food where wisdom is part of the process. So food as medicine isn't about being strict, it's about being fluent. So this is what I'm giving you right now is only an introduction. And before I share at the end, I wanted a few tips that I have. I want you to think about how we can actually how you can use this. Do you need more foods that are building or mineralizing or grounding? And how we can get into those personal tastes. So before we dig a little bit deeper, did you know that there are four types of digestion and that 95% of all illness stems from digestive disorders? So this is the weight gain, the hormonal problems, fatigue, deficiencies that can be traced back to poor digestion and assimilation. So currently, I'm offering 10-minute free consultations to help you identify your digestive type. And then I have created three tools. So depending on which kind you have, a roadmap. So you get this PDF that will help you start right now to start feeling better, put some of these principles into action. So that link is in the show notes. All right, so I want you to, I know that some people are thinking at this point, and you've made me think, why didn't anyone teach me this sooner? And this is exactly who this is for, this information, people who really want to know and understand. So I'm going to show you a common pattern. And I have a detailed training and handout on this in my phase 1, principle 4 in my course, Healthy by Design, the Creator's Blueprint for Healthy Living. But I want to give you as much value as I can here. So sweet cravings are usually a signal that I need deep nourishment, safety, and grounding. So this can be linked to nervous system depletion, sugar instability, emotional exhaustion, things like that. And it's not asking for candy, but we tend to reach for it. Isn't that interesting as women, right before our period, when our body needs such deep nourishment because it's actually the when we have our period, we are actually kind of entering a detox phase. So we need to have as much nourishment, safety, and grounding as possible. And so it's not asking for candy, but sometimes our body goes, I need sweets, and we reach for candy, but it's actually root vegetables and healthy fats and warm cooked foods are going to be more grounding for you here. All right. like I said, this is in my program, and we actually go deeper into it in phase 3, where we talk about hormones and really how to balance hormones using food and herbs and lifestyle management. But salty cravings signal I need minerals and better regulation. So this could be we have low electrolytes, we're dehydrated, blood pressure is low. And this is not asking for chips, even though whenever I tell my husband, I'm like, okay, I need some chips. It's not really what I'm asking for, but I'm asking for mineral-rich salts, broths, sea vegetables, these type of things that will help regulate and give me minerals. Sour cravings are usually I need cleansing, movement, and flow. So this is when we're kind of suffering from maybe a sluggish liver, poor bile flow, and some stagnation. And it's not asking for sugar-coated sour candies, right? What it's actually asking for is maybe some lemon or some lime, some fermented foods, vinegars, things like that, that kind of gently wake up the system and get it moving again. When we have bitter cravings, so this is often misunderstood because people don't usually crave bitter consciously yet because we've taken it out of the diet. I crave it now. So, this is usually a signal that I need detoxification and mineral rebuilding. So, especially those without a gallbladder, we start to, bitter foods are our friends. And so it can often be linked when we crave that bitterness to estrogen dominance, inflammation, poor digestion. Our toxic overload is pretty big. So, it's not really asking for more restriction. What it's asking is for bitter greens, herbal bitters, uh, dandelion herbal tea. There's some things that we can do to really get in there and get your body really what it needs. So bitter teaches the body how to clear what's no longer needed. And so when you start understanding these, you start to understand what the bitter craving is. All right, astringent is I need cooling, calming, and inflammation control. So this is often linked to as we have inflammation in the body, a lot of heat building, overstimulation. Um, and so it's not asking for like these dry snacks. So astringent is kind of that dry, when you put it in your mouth, it's kind of dry like a cranberry. But what it's really asking is things like cranberries, pomegranates. I need some beans and a few other type of herbal things that are going to really give your body what it really needs because astringency brings containment and calm to the body. All right, the last one is pungent. So this is a signal that we need warmth, we need circulation and activation, and it can often be linked to like cold hands and cold feet, low metabolism, sluggish digestion, things like this. It's not asking for extreme spice challenges and to put hot sauce on all your food, but what it's asking for is ginger and black pepper and garlic and onions and all these amazing warming spices, because the body pungent helps the body ignite and move energy. And so this is why I hear so many times that women feel unsatisfied after eating because a couple of things. One, they didn't eat the 6 flavors. There's always something missing. Number two is they ate volume, not completion. So again, they're not getting that full cellular information. They fed calories. So they got calories in it again, but not the cellular needs. And so one or two tastes dominated the meal. So it's like if you're having a bowl of let's say macaroni and cheese, right? You're getting sweet because cheese is sweet. Maybe if you put some seasonings in there, you might get a little bit of pungent. But it's really dominated by one or two flavors. But if you were to say, and I'm not a huge fan of, I love macaroni and cheese, but it's really hard to digest, not very nutritious. But if you put it next to a big salad with all the other tastes, arugula for bitter, we already have the sweet, sour with a lemon, salty, put some salt on there, or like a sea vegetables, things like that, and start just building out so you have more. And so that's kind of where we start. So when a meal is missing a taste, the body keeps searching. And we're not consciously understanding what it's doing, but it's so intelligent. So this is especially true for women without a gallbladder, women who are in perimenopause, women who suffer from chronic stress, and those who are healing digestion and hormones. So cravings are not the enemy. They are requests. And it's important. That's why it is so important to me to teach patterns and principles rather than rules and regulation, right? Because what you need today may be a little different tomorrow, let alone next week, next month, next year. And so when you understand how to use these tools, one, you what they are, two, how to use them, and then three, practice them, then suddenly you can go inside when you're having a craving and go, "Oh, this is what I need." And also you find ways to incorporate that into a whole family meal. And so when you answer the request for the correct taste, even if it's just a pinch, the craving often dissolves naturally. So this is why women say, "I'm eating less, but I'm finally satisfied," because the conversation has been completed. And that is just an introduction, like I said, to the six tastes. We dig much deeper in my course in phases one and in phase three, going a little bit deeper. And so if you want to learn about your digestion, maybe learn a little bit more about the program, or have any questions, please click the link in the bio and I will be happy to have you set up that time and spend a few minutes with you getting some clarity. All right, I will see you in the next podcast. Before you go, I have a little surprise for you today as a thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, I'd love your help in getting out to more hands and hearts. When you share an episode on social media along with what you learned or loved and tag me, you'll be entered to win a free mini coaching session with me. Every share counts as an entry. Make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss what's coming next, and keep those reviews and topic suggestions coming. They truly mean so much to me, and I'm grateful that you're here.